Welcome back, Kiss Army, to episode 12 of the Kiss Army Things podcast. My name's Jeb.
And my name is Xander. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Kiss Army Things. If you like these videos, be sure to subscribe to the channel because we're bringing new episodes every 2 weeks. This week we want to talk about the show we saw in Tinley Park in Chicago on October 16th. We thought about actually doing an episode after the show, but thought, you know what, we're so tired, we're just going to wait and we'll do it afterwards. But today is that episode, and let's get right to it. So we got to see Kiss in Tinley Park. That would be show number 5 on this tour, right?
Yes,
the road.
That was our 5th. For the two of us, correct.
And the last one we saw was on February 16th, 2020. So, of course, that was like right before lockdown, right before the pandemic. So it was really good, obviously, to see Kiss. This show had been rescheduled because it had been previously canceled. Yeah. I think it was one of the shows that was taking place when Paul and or Gene had been diagnosed with COVID, so they got canceled. Yes. And not to make matters worse, but it in the end kind of worked out because it was on a Saturday, it was on a weekend. Because we weren't even going to be able to make it to the show.
I was going to say a blessing in disguise. Not to downplay.
Yeah, not to downplay. Yeah, no. I mean, obviously, nobody wants shows to be canceled ever. Yeah. But it worked out for us. The fact that it was on a weekend, so we were able to head up there. We got a hotel. We made a weekend out of it. But today we want to discuss that because there were some differences in that show that we saw at Tinley Park than some of the shows we've seen in the previous on previous shows on the tour. So there are changes happening. Yeah. But before we get into that, just overall, what was your? I mean, I doubt you're going to say it was horrible, but I mean, how was it, man, being at a Kiss show? Finally, being back at a Kiss show.
It was fantastic, even though I had already seen him, obviously 4 times on just this same tour before. I was just as excited, obviously, to see them as I was before, because I'll say the last show I did see before COVID and lockdown and everything was that Kiss show, which by the way was one of the shows that David Lee Roth, who got lucky enough to see David Lee Roth open for them.
Right.
And so that was the last show that I had seen period before COVID. So I was just eager to go back and see a show. Because I know you went and seen Slipknot just a couple weeks prior to the Kiss show. So,
yes.
So you had gotten sort of that out of the way. But for me, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to a show, but it's also a Kiss show for the first time in, it seems like forever.
Yeah. And real quick, what's funny is that we've gone longer without seeing Kiss.
Oh, a lot longer.
It used to be like 2-year cycles, 2010, exactly. 2012. Mm-hmm. Even that show from 2003 to 2010, that was 7 years. So, I mean, even though it's only been a year and a half, but because of lockdown, because of, the pandemic and all that, it kind of feels like a lot longer because everything shut down.
It felt like a lot longer, Everything just really came together for that show, even though, I mean, first of all, it was an outdoor show, so it was quite a lot of people. It was the coldest concert I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Because I'd never seen the show, in an outdoor amphitheater that late in the year.
In October,
and it was in Illinois, so it was.
It was in like the windy. It was pretty much Chicago.
I'll say, but it felt oddly nostalgic for me. For some reason, I get this weird feeling of nostalgia in the fall. Anyway, it makes no sense.
No, I get it too.
But just walking in through the gates of going to a Kiss show or just going to a show, period, it just felt amazing. And of course, the actual show was as top notch as it has been on this tour so far, even though there has been, as you mentioned, a couple of changes that we'd like to see. And I had heard on social media a couple different things that I didn't double check on to see if they were actually going to do, namely a significant change to the set list, or somewhat significant. But and so that actually did come to pass. And as we were at the show, we noticed, okay, that's different.
Here's one of those things.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Okay, that's something that they did. And I admit, when I first heard about, I'll just go ahead and mention it, one of the changes, maybe the most glaring one, if you've seen them on this tour, was cutting Psycho Circus in half. They play the first half of Psycho Circus, and then Eric will do his drum solo, and then they go into the second half of 100,000 Years. So, for the sake of time, I guess, they just, cut down each song, made it one big thing, and when I heard about it, I was kind of bummed because those are like two of the best Kiss songs to me.
Mm-hmm.
Or Psycho Circus
Live,
certainly
especially.
is. Yeah, live, I love that that's been in the set for the past few years.
Several years,
And,
almost 10 actually.
Yeah, that's strange. And 100,000 Years, which is, in my top 3 favorite Kiss songs. So, when I heard about it, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm really not going to be able to see these songs flashed out. But when I got to the show and as I was watching it, the transitions throughout, the Psycho Circus drum solo, 100,000 Years, it was pretty, seamless.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was at the show, I didn't really care because
Mm-hmm.
I was there, and it's, I kind of realized that the set list isn't really why I'm going anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't really realize that until I was there, and I'm going, you know what? They pulled it off. It didn't really take away anything from me. Maybe if it was like my first show on the End of the Road show, maybe I would have been like, oh, I wish I would have seen the second half to Psycho Circus because it's such an epic moment.
Yeah.
Right. But when I was there, I was saying, you know what? It worked out. They did it. They made it work, and so it worked for me.
I personally did not care for it as much. Now, I will say it did not ruin the night. It did not ruin the show. And that, nothing like that would ever have a chance of ruining a Kiss show. Mm-hmm. But I do think that they should have done both of those songs in full and maybe cut another one. It just seems so odd because, now, I get why they're doing it because, they might have been needing to cut down for time. Yeah. And there's a few other things they did, which we'll talk about. Right. But I did think it was weird because Psycho Circus is probably one of the most epic songs in the entire catalog, where it starts off really big, and then at one point it has it gets real quiet, real dramatic, and then it just builds back up. It has a lot of peaks and valleys. That song is a journey.
Yes.
And then 100,000 Years obviously is kind of like that way too. Yeah. And so to just stop in the middle of Psycho Circus without getting that full it's that song is almost like theater in one song.
Yeah,
and not getting that, I feel like, is just kind of, and it makes you stop and kind of look around and go, did I miss something, or whatever. And then all of a sudden coming back from the drum solo into Do You Feel Alright works on a show level, because it's all part of the show. Yeah. But then going back into the chorus or whatever,
that was
100,000 Years, where it's like, sorry to have taken it. You're like, oh, this is like.
Well,
we didn't hear the first part, so it seems just kind of...
To the casual fans, that may have been confusing.
It may have been a little odd.
If they don't happen to have Alive or the first album, they might not know 100,000 Years anyway. A lot of those casual fans might not even know that song in general.
Although, we should mention, just real quickly, that with us was also a couple of our friends who had never seen Kiss live at all.
Yes.
We had seen Kiss live. This was our 12th show overall. That was their first show. Yeah. So they probably didn't even care.
Oh, yeah.
Because, songs like Psycho Circus and 100,000 Years might not be known to, the more casual fan.
True.
Now, having said that, the set list overall, I felt like was really good for some of these casual fans, non-fans, because one of the things that I was told by one of our friends was, at the show was like, I knew more Kiss songs than I thought I did. I guess that's because of you. And I'm thinking, well, maybe. But
maybe.
Also, it's because they do that so that no matter who you are, how many times you've seen Kiss, you still feel like you're involved. Songs like Shout Out Loud and Beth and Detroit Rock City, Rock and Roll Night, Lick It Up. Everybody knows those songs. Tears Are Falling. Heaven's on Fire. My buddy has never seen Kiss before. He's not really that big of a Kiss fan, but he leaned to me during Heaven's on Fire and he goes, dude, I lift weights to this all the time. He goes, this song is on all the time in the gym. And I was like, now you've seen it live.
Did he know it was Kiss?
Yeah. He knew it was Kiss. But
the fact that he hears it out.
But being a non-Kiss fan, and then say, hey, I'll go see Kiss, and then he goes and sees Kiss, and then hears a song that he hears in his regular life. I guarantee that's a new connection made right there. So there's a reason why they play songs like Shout It Out Loud, Black Diamond, and Rock City, and Love Gun. I Was Made for Loving You.
Oh, absolutely. That song is always a
huge. When Paul said, we're going to do one that goes like this, do, 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 he turns to me with his eyes wide open. And I'm like, what? Do you not know it? Are you confused? He goes, no, this is my favorite Kiss song. I was like, there you go.
Wow.
That's why they play it, So there are some aspects of the set list that are the way they are, so that no matter who you are, no matter how many times you've seen Kiss, you can always feel like you're you're involved, and you belong. Even if you don't feel like you belong, you belong. That's really special.
So it's something that's really cool that I think a lot of KISS fans outside of us do, that we take a lot of pride in, is taking people who've never seen KISS. I feel like KISS fans do this more than, I could be wrong, but they might do that more with KISS than any other band. Like, okay, you just have to see them once.
Yes.
Or just go, you'll have fun.
Yes.
KISS is the band to do that. We do that almost every tour. Try and take someone that we haven't, that because everyone knows we're huge fans. We'll just say, you know what?
Come on,
because we paid for other people's tickets before.
Oh yeah.
And
come on, you gotta do it once.
And never once has anyone walked away thinking, oh, I wish I wouldn't have gone.
Exactly.
Or that wasn't, amazing.
Perfect example is my other friend Derek, who I still want to have on this podcast at some point because of that unique perspective where we were seniors in high school, and I was like, dude, you don't know how long bands like this are going to be around. KISS, Motley Crue are on tour together. You got to go see them.
Yep,
you know songs from both. You got to come. And so he goes, all right, fine, we'll go. So we sat in the lawn that whole night, and the second song in, Shout It Out Loud. It was Detroit Rock City and Shout It Out Loud. And 2 songs in, he goes, I'm in. This is it. This is it. I'm like, welcome. This is, welcome to the show. And I took out my phone and there's a video of the 3 of us, singing Shout It Out Loud, because that
2012.
I was like, yes. I was like, I have to capture this moment of him becoming a KISS fan. And I told him, look, you can come once and never come again. I don't care. Just see him once. And guess what? He was there in 2014.
Yep.
He was there both shows in 2016. He was there with us in Aurora. It's the perfect, it's like...
It's the same way with the Expos. And we've even got, 2 people, one being Derek, the other being Daphne.
Yeah.
They, Derek's been to more than one, but, Expos are the same way. It's just, if you're in it, then you're in it. You got to go.
People like to feel like they belong, and the KISS Army will make you feel like you belong. And it's really easy to get involved.
Well, and we're incredibly privileged just to even live in Indiana or the Midwest in general, because if we lived anywhere else, they only do, 1 or 2, KISS Expos per year.
Yeah, and one of them's in Indianapolis routinely.
Yeah, so I'll say for 20 years now they've had Indianapolis.
And the fact that it's like a hop, skip, and a jump, and then the fact that
for us,
so it is really cool. But let's get back to the set list on this tour because there was a lot of things that have changed, and it's more minuscule because it's easy to be like, okay, well, they didn't really change any songs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I noticed that there was a lot of things that were real subtle, but I couldn't quite put my finger on, so I did a little bit of digging in.
Yeah.
And so compared to the last time we saw KISS, Say Yeah was the 4th song in the set, and has now moved to the 7th. Yeah. Tears Are Falling was at that 7th spot last time, but now it's 12th in the set. Last time Cold Gin was 12th, but now it's 8th.
Yeah.
I Love It Loud and Heaven's on Fire, they've just been flip-flopped. And War Machine was 8th in the set, and now it's 4th.
Right.
The only major change is that the last time we saw KISS, Crazy Nights was the second to last song of the night in the encores, and then when we saw them this past time, it was Do You Love Me?
Right.
And I believe that switch from Do You Love Me actually did happen before COVID. So, and then Parasite, we saw Parasite last time too, but that one was just dropped altogether.
Yeah,
and I'm assuming that it was for time. But to be honest, they added Parasite in without taking anything else out the last time.
True.
They had a pretty solid set list that they just kind of took stuff out, but then they just added Parasite in. I expected that one to come out.
That's also one of the perks of seeing them more than one time on the same tour. Is that I'm pretty sure we've seen every iteration of every variation. Yeah, I say maybe like the definite majority of the variations that they've, even though they're small, most people are, they just don't, whatever.
Yeah, there's small changes that happen all the time.
Yeah, well, what was the biggest one for you? It may have been the Psycho Circus to...
for this show or to any show on the whole tour?
This past show, like the one that we just saw last week. What was the biggest thing that may have been a disappointment? Or the thing that you noticed the most and thought, well, maybe they should have kept that in, or maybe they should have different one?
Well, I think it definitely has to be the 100,000 Years in Psycho Circus thing, just because I want to hear both songs. But the thing that also changed that we did not talk about was Eric Singer's drum solo. Because we have seen 4 shows, and, I don't know if Eric, does this or it just kind of happens, but, if you see multiple shows, you'll see that, no, Eric Singer's drum solo is not the exact same every night.
Not the exact same.
But it sounds similar to where it has a similar ebb and flow because it is a show.
Yeah.
And so a show has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Correct. His drum solo has to have a beginning and a middle end. It's different when it's like you in a garage, you just play whatever you want.
Yeah.
When you're in a show, Eric knows that he can't just play the fastest at all times. It has to be part of a show. It has to be musical. It has to have moments. And so I noticed that the one he did this last time in Chicago was just completely different.
It was. It was a little slower, I thought.
It started off a lot. It started off a lot differently.
Yeah.
I noticed, and then after a while, it kind of sped up a little bit, but it was just in its entirety, it was different because it started off a lot different. There wasn't. I don't remember there being quite as much toms, and it was more like on the hi hat and stuff. I don't know. I could be mixing up, but I did notice that like, hey, this is. I was like paying attention more because I was like, this is different than the drum solo we've seen. The last time, so that was kind of cool. But just in terms of like the songs, I wished, I could hear Psycho Circus
for sure. I
think in its entirety.
Yeah, I'll say that makes sense. For me, it wouldn't be that. That would probably be the other. I mean, because there's really not much other to say. But for me, it was taking out "Let Me Go Rock and Roll," which was, I was so happy that they had that in the set when they did, because I felt like that needed to be in every Kiss set list.
It was definitely a set list in Louisville, and I think it was in Indianapolis.
Yeah, so we saw it at least once or twice. And that, and especially because I feel like since they cut down with, 100,000 Years in Psycho Circus, Let Me Go Rock and Roll is a pretty short song. That's like 2 minutes and change.
Yeah, but they make it like 8 minutes live.
True. But they could have, but since they already had that moment with 100,000 Years, they could have, I feel like there was a way they could have made that work, because even though that's not a super well-known Kiss song, everyone has a good reaction to that because of how
so energetic,
high energy it is, and how fast it is, and the guitar is like, that's what I think might impress most of the casual Kiss fans, is like this just loud, fast, energetic rock song that's just undeniable. And while I guess if they had to take any songs out, it'd have to be one of the lesser-known ones, and that one.
Yeah, that one would
it
be
does
the
make
one.
sense. Although I would have taken "Do You Love Me" out or anything else.
I agree.
And "Crazy Nights" is another thing that it doesn't really bother me, because I've seen that plenty of times now, or at least a few times. "Crazy Nights" in the set list, and of course that was taken out.
That was taken out for "Do You Love Me."
For "Do You Love Me"? But they kept "Tears Are Falling" in, which is just incredible. Absolutely.
The fact that one's in the set list is remarkable too.
See, I'll take that. That and "Crazy Nights" they can swap, as long as they have one of those iconic '80s songs that's not "Lick It Up," right? Or "I Love It Loud" or something like that.
Yeah, I would rather prefer "Crazy Nights" over "Do You Love Me," and I know Daphne does too, because she was a huge fan of "Crazy Nights" and the '80s Kiss. So I remember when they played that, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to tell her that they're going to play that.
Was that the Louisville show?
Louisville, yes. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to say anything because
just let it be.
Well, I think it was Louisville. I can't remember because there's been a few different iterations of the set list.
True.
But I know it was there in 2020. In the Fort Wayne show. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to I'm not going to tell her, and I'm just going to let her. And she loved it because it gets 80s Kiss, and I feel like they're doing a really, really good job with representing 80s Kiss.
Yeah.
In this set list, because obviously, and not just Unmasked, 80s as a whole, because obviously Lick It Up and I Love It Loud are going to be in the set list. War Machine's in the set list, but Tears Are Falling,
but the Unmasked,
Crazy Nights, and Heaven's on Fire is one that kind of surprised me too. It was in the original Farewell Tour set list, which did extremely well, because again, the original lineup playing those 80s songs was kind of cool.
Very cool.
And they weren't really capable of doing a whole lot, so Lick It Up and Heaven's on Fire was really cool to see Peter and Ace playing. So to hear it come back on this farewell tour and the road tour with Tommy and Eric, it just fantastic. It sounds great. There's there's a lot of great Kiss songs that have those where it's like Shout Out Loud, where it's just drums and chanting. I Love It Loud, the hey yeah, and then they added one to Crazy Nights, and then you have Heaven's on Fire, which is just Heaven's on Fire, and then Paul does his little in between stuff. Those are the best moments at Kiss shows, because everybody again can be involved.
Everyone's participating.
Even if like some of our friends, even if you have not seen Kiss live, you hear the song name once, and then now you can chant it in tune with them and with 20,000 other people, and then boom, now you're part of the Kiss army.
I think the set
those songs go over well so live, and the 80s Kiss was the best at that. Songs like All Night, which are ridiculous as can be, they're in my top 10 because
it's catchy.
They're catchy, and they're really fun to sing, and that's part of especially live, the Kiss experience. So I think they're doing a really great job with the set list overall, and just 80s Kiss in particular.
Good representation there,
One thing from the show that really threw me off, and threw me off in a big way, made me nervous, in fact, was when they played I Love It Loud, they played War Machine, And after War Machine, I was really excited for those in our party who had never seen Kiss live. I was really excited for some of our friends to actually get to see Gene breathe fire in real life. Yes. You know, you can watch a YouTube video and they can shoot it and edit it to perfection.
Right.
But seeing it with one locked off frame, aka your eyes, in real life, you know, nothing beats that.
Yes.
Whether you're watching Gene or the screen, the fact that it's happening in front of you is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so I was really excited, you know, to live that again for the first time.
Yep.
And then War Machine ended, the song ended, they went right into the next song at 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm looking around going,
are they not going to do it?
There's no way that just happened. I was like, he's been breathing fire to War Machine for the last several tours.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, what is happening? I was almost worried that I was like, did some kind of fire, you know, is there some kind of, did COVID shut down Gene Simmons breathing fire? I was like, this is ridiculous. And so he's actually breathing fire to I Love It Loud now. Which, I mean, doesn't really, again, it doesn't change anything.
That's a Gene
He's
song.
still breathing fire. It's still a Gene Simmons song. It's fine. It's just, if you go see Kiss and he doesn't breathe fire on War Machine, it's okay, you can breathe. Because I was like, that's so odd.
Yeah. Well, of course, for us, we know every one of the cues. We know which song
Kiss
is going to bring about what.
Kiss fans get used to the show.
Even them playing Led Zeppelin before the actual show, half the crowd.
Everybody stands up.
As soon as you hear the drums to Led Zeppelin, half the crowd knows to stand up and get on their feet, and half of everyone's going, "What's going on?" It's just a Led Zeppelin song, but we know every show they play that song, and so it's different for us who knows everything like that. But I don't think I noticed it until you said it.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But once you said it, I was like, "Oh, you're right."
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure some of the other people in the crowd, weren't even think about it, and they saw Breathe Fire and go, "Oh yeah, Gene Breathe Fire. That was really cool." But I was wondering, like, are they not going to do it? Were they going to do it? So yeah, it's just moved to I Love It Loud.
It would be like it was just on this. It'd be like them or Gene splitting blood on. What was it, 100,000 Years that they used to do way back in the 70s.
And I Love It Loud.
And I Love It Loud.
He did I Love It Loud in the late 2000s / early 2010s.
So that is what I was going to say. Since he's been doing it since, God of Thunder, or for God of Thunder, if he did it with something else, I would have had that moment of like, is he not going to do it?
Yeah.
He can't not do it. It's the last tour.
So one of the coolest things I noticed about the Kiss show, since we're talking about War Machine, I love when they play War Machine, they have that graphic of the... That the dragon flying through and all the fire, and I just think that's really cool. I know some folks might not like it or might think it's over the top or cheesy or whatever, but when we saw that I think for the first time on the tour
2012
in 2012,
correct, that is the first time I remember seeing it.
I remember seeing it going, now Kiss is doing some really awesome stuff with the production. That was that was my first thought. They're always doing cool stuff, but to see them sort of taking like a technological leap like that and saying, let's add some of this more modern CG stuff into our show. Yeah. I mean, and I know where some folks might not like it, and everybody has their opinion, and that's totally fine. But for me, seeing them trying to move forward in that way was really, really cool. And so I've noticed when they do make changes to that video, and they've made a lot of changes, and so now you actually, because you saw a lot of, like, we'll call it the Kiss Army, where it's like a bunch of soldiers marching with their instruments, You actually don't see, I don't think, a lot of them so much. It's more focused on the dragon.
Yeah. And
there's some really, really cool, like, up-close shots where it gets really detailed on its scales. I thought that was really, really neat. Yeah. But the cool thing about the War Machine video is that they now have it's real small, but we're diehards like to get into real small things. So it's like shotgun shells that fall.
I remember that.
And they fall in slow motion. As if to say, the battle's been won, the battle's been fought, and each of the shells has like a Kiss logo on it. And I don't know, they're just really nicely rendered, I guess. I'm trying to, it's fun to notice that kind of stuff.
It is a nice production aspect as opposed to just having the monitor with the camera, Well, it actually harkens back to the Psycho Circus thing they did.
Oh, yeah, the 3D.
I'll say they did have a 3D thing, but they also, or was it on the Farewell show as well? On the Farewell tour, they had, because when at that New Jersey show, they had the graphics for Psycho Circus as well. So
yeah, it wasn't 3D, but they did have the graphics.
Oh, but they did have a graphic, and they
Yeah.
They don't really do that a lot, but no, that kind of stuff is a really nice touch. And it does bring it up to date a little bit, and it's more palatable for maybe some of the younger people. It's not just
And they did a cool Psycho Circus frame when they played the song Psycho Circus. Yeah. The monitor has like a red frame around it that looks like the same thing as Psycho Circus. Those things are really cool.
Yes.
on God of Thunder, this is a very, very small change as well, but I noticed, so when they do God of Thunder, after Gene's dun 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 dun, so obviously there's the drums, right?
Yeah.
Da, dun, da, da, da.
Yeah.
That whole drum part was taken out. It went right into dun dun dun. It went right into the riff, the drum and guitar together, and they totally removed that intro drum, which it's so small. But I just scratched my head and was like, "That's a really cool small part to add that just builds in and transitions into the song."
And I wonder what, if any, excuse was for remove, because it's not like they saved any time. You see, it did seem a little, I can't say rushed, but it felt okay. Before I say that, it did feel like a full Kiss show. I don't feel like I got cheated of anything. I got exactly what I paid for and more, just like any other show. But it did seem like they were, let's not rushing it, but they did just swiftly, bam, bam. Everything's one after another, trying to, it seemed like it was a quick show, even though it was a full show.
And let's pause here, and I want to talk about that because obviously this was a rescheduled show. Obviously, the end of the road tour as a whole should have been ended in July. So I'm wondering if in Kiss is just not that they're phoning it in. Not that they're going through the motions, but they are like we need to get these shows.
They're trying to save their energy.
Get these shows going.
Yeah.
But the next day after that show, Paul's guitar tech passed away, Fran.
Right. And
so I'm wondering if maybe the band had known that he had passed while they were in Chicago.
That's a
lot of fans.
To bring them context, I think we should mention that.
Go ahead and mention
we were in Chicago on. What day was it again?
16th, Saturday the 16th.
Saturday the 16th. So that was Illinois. We were the very next day on that Sunday. We were planning to go to Ohio and see Kiss.
We were on our way to Dayton.
Yeah, so we were literally on our way to Dayton when we found out the news that show that night was canceled
because Fran had passed away.
Yes, and so while we can't confirm that, I didn't.
Yeah, we can't confirm that, but I'm wondering in hindsight.
Yeah, because they did. They said. On Sunday, like the night of the show, yesterday, he passed away, which was the night that we saw the show. Have they played a show since that show? I haven't seen them. I don't think I've seen anyone post saying, because it's almost like every other night or every night they're saying, "Oh, last night in Chicago was amazing." Right. I haven't seen. I don't think they've played any.
I don't know if they've played any Kiss shows.
I was gonna say today is the 24th, and so the Kiss cruise is coming up, so maybe they just stopped right before the cruise and they're going to pick up. I know they're going to pick up after the cruise, but that might be why.
Yeah,
it's because they're just winding down preparing for the Kiss cruise. But it is strange how that's because that was supposed to be our last show.
Well, the one in Dayton,
the one in Ohio, and since it hasn't even technically been rescheduled yet.
Not yet.
We don't have a date at the time of this recording. We have no idea when that's going to, be pushed back to, because as I mentioned, in a week or less, I think it's, in just a few days, they're heading out for the cruise. So it won't be until who knows how deep into November, or it could be even later.
So there has not been as of this recording, Tinley Park was the last Kiss show that was performed.
Right, which is our show.
There is, according to, and I'm on Wikipedia because I just wanted to do something quick. Yeah. There is a show listed on Wikipedia November 5th. For West Palm Beach. Fun fact, that show has again been postponed. There will now be no Kiss show on November 5th in West Palm Beach. As of now, both that show and Dayton have not been rescheduled. But there is a Kiss cruise that's going to be coming up before that, right. I think the Kiss cruise is happening in just a few days.
And I thought they had to reschedule a show for some Florida show.
I'm wondering if that's the West Palm Beach one.
Because I know there was some weather problem they had to reschedule and push it back.
Yeah,
but it seemed like we were talking about this before the show, how it seemed they rescheduled that show very quickly after initially canceling it, whereas our show it's been it's only been a week, but we still haven't heard anything as to when the show will be rescheduled to.
Right,
and I'm sure it'll be in November, right? It's not that they're going to go out of the country and then come back to us. That would be weird.
It would be kind of weird.
So yeah, it's kind of strange, but we should say our hearts go out to Fran's family and close friends. It really was a devastating loss to Paul. You know,
I believe there's a GoFundMe that you may if you're able to, you may think about it donating to that. I know there's a GoFundMe up.
I saw that on Paul's Twitter, I think today or yesterday. He said outside of what KISS will be doing, because I was kind of wondering, like, well, maybe you could take care of that stuff. But it is nice that if any of the fans want to help and contribute to that, then
and it was really cool
nice.
Seeing all kinds of. There were people all over the world.
Yeah, they knew the guy. I mean,
that were posting in like every KISS group, every picture they had with him, telling all these like stories and memories, and it was just wild.
So he wasn't someone that we ever got to meet. Unfortunately, but it's
a lot of KISS fans know a lot of people that are involved, and we're just on the outside. We're just here, but it was so cool to see so many people sharing those pictures. Right. So let's talk more about the show or the tour as a whole, because we've been talking a lot about the show in Tinley Park. Yeah. But as far as the End of the Road tour as a whole goes, is there anything that they should be doing that they're not? Is there something that they're doing that that you think is great? Like for me, it's the 80s. I think they're doing a great with the set list with the 80s KISS.
It's so hard to get, because I'm incredibly biased and I've seen the show 5 times now and I love every bit of it. Mm-hmm. So there's nothing, I don't think really at all, that sticks out like, oh, it's the last tour, they should be doing this, because they're playing the right songs in my opinion, or at least they're playing the most key songs. Probably, in their whole career, they got Rock and Roll 92, Rock City, all that, all the stuff the fans know. I think that is probably the first and foremost as far as what should the last tour be like. I think they nailed it with the set list, even though I might like instead of say Hail or Hallelujah from Monster, which would be the only song that I would probably because those two albums are similar enough they could be interchangeable. But no, I really don't. Well, I love also how, in a way, they do, pay homage to the original lineup. I know it's just a little. It's on the monitors. They have some classic footage. It feels good. That's always cool. It feels good knowing that they're not trying to forget, or trying to make anyone forget about Peter and Ace. Oh, sure. They don't mention their names there, but they are showing you, this is a part of KISSTORY. It's just a nice little thing. Yeah. And some people they won't be into it because it's not the original lineup, but they paid him respect in that way, and I think that's great. And as far as the way they've been playing, all 5 shows I've seen have just been on fire. Mm-hmm. Their playing is just phenomenal. It's always, I was gonna say, KISS is they are putting their all into it, mm-hmm. and so it's not like I wish they would be more energetic or anything. Everything's been pretty spot on to me.
As far as like people saying that the KISS show is it's tired and it's the same, it's really not. Well, because there's always going to be those key moments where it's like he's always going to breathe fire. You're always going to be able to tell, okay, he's going to breathe fire. Yes. He's going to fly, and mm-hmm. Paul's going to fly. As far as everything around that,
it's important that all those things you just mentioned are in the show on the last tour. Yeah. I can maybe get the criticism for all the tours, before this with Tommy and Eric. Maybe they could have, done something different. But since this is the end of the road, I think you have to, you don't want to introduce some new thing, because people, they already know about the fire breathing. That's what they want to see. They already know about the blood spitting. That's what they want to see. And so I feel like it was especially important on the last tour to do those things so that everyone can get the KISS experience. I totally agree. Because I feel like maybe on the Freedom to Rock tour, they fine, they could have... Actually, they did do a couple, not really big things, but a couple pyrotechnic things that were really cool. I was like, it's not like it's the same as blood spitting or the fire breathing, but they did something cool. So I get it for the past tours, but on the End of the Road, they're checking all the boxes. Oh, yeah. Because the show is still modern. Everything else, like you said, with the the things on the monitors, the pyro is new, it's modern. They got flames coming out of everywhere. Yeah, horizontal, forward. It looks great, and so
the meteor shower after Detroit City. Yeah, I love that.
Well, we've seen the show 12 times, and it's never gotten stale to me because every time it's just freaking awesome. awesome.
Yeah, I love the Kiss show. I love a good Kiss show, that's for sure.
Yes, I do love a Kiss show.
So let me ask you this, because I'm just thinking about the differences between this farewell tour and the original farewell tour.
Yeah.
And when we were, like 5 years old and 3 years old, when the original farewell tour took place, the one thing I noticed was how quick Paul was to be, sentimental. And there was a few parts in the show where he was very he was doing his rock and roll preaching thing, where he was like, if it wasn't for you, we would never be here. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
He gave like a whole monologue.
It was like a speech. What I'm saying, like thank you to the Kiss Army, because without you, we would be nothing without you. Mm-hmm. We are glad and proud to say that you are the Kiss Army.
Yeah.
And then today, not that they're phoning it in, but they're still going by the script. They're still going.
I'll tell you what.
It's like business as usual.
I think they should take out the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame bit. He's done that like every tour.
I actually haven't heard it in a while, but the fact that it did come back up, I was like, okay.
I wish he wouldn't give them any attention, because they don't deserve it.
Well, he did say after that, he said, and keep in mind, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame hates Kiss.
I know, but
and it was you that got us. So that was cool, I guess.
He did tie it in and make it good, but I still feel like no one needs to mention it, because it's almost, it's not embarrassing, but I just couldn't imagine any other band bringing up the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for any reason.
Yeah.
Especially when they hate him. I just was like, okay, we can drop the Rock Hall stuff. I mean, I get why he does it, because it does tell a story about how the fans pulled through, but it's just, I don't know. If I could have, something like what he was doing on the original, tour, or, they even did that, and maybe they don't do it because they already did it before, and that would be weird. But if you remember on that old tape, that New Jersey show, they had the KISSTORY, that long video.
That 9-minute video. You can find it on YouTube.
Was that actually played at the show, though?
That I don't know, and I don't. Because I don't think so. I think it was a pay-per-view thing.
I was gonna say that doesn't make any sense. Because
I think it was a pay-per-view.
I sound stupid now, because I pictured them in my mind thinking they actually showed.
Let's mention this to them. So in case they don't know, that pay-per-view, The Last Kiss on the farewell tour. About a third of the way, halfway through the show, before Heaven's on Fire, Paul gave a speech where it was like, 27 years ago, the critics said nobody would ever listen to us. New Jersey, you showed them they were wrong. And then this 9-minute video of like a compilation of highlight reel of Kiss's career played.
A very cool compilation.
Very cool. You can find it. I'll put a link in the description. You can find it. You can find it on YouTube. And for us young fans in the 2000s, you get in the 90s and 2000s, that was a really great way to get caught up on KISSTORY, because we were hearing they played a snippet of Anything for My Baby in that clip, and I'll never forget when we finally got older and we bought a copy of Dressed to Kill, and we listened to it for the first time, and we heard that song come on. We're like, oh, this is the song. This is where it came from. Now we know. And it was like a full it was like a full circle thing.
That weird compilation video was oddly important.
That
was just so cool.
The video in the description, and it was very paramount for some reason.
I don't know why.
And helping us understand. Here's a really good crash course. Right. And Kiss, all the way up until, boom, your generation. Now it's up to you, go. Yeah. And here we are 20 years later. But, so anyway, as far as all of this, being sentimental and just, thanking the fans, I feel like they could set aside an extra 10, 30 seconds to do something like that. And the best place to put it would be at the very, very end of the Kiss show. Because for the last almost 10 years, after every single show, Paul Stanley says, have you had a good time? Did you get what you came for? And of course, everyone's going to say yes.
He said that on his last show, didn't he?
He did.
Yes.
And so they say that every single tour. And again, it's part of the show. It's part of the script. Yeah. And so, how nice would it be for on the end of the road tour to break away and say, on a real note, this is special for us. Yeah. We hope it was special for you. Right. Thank you for all the years. Good night. But instead, the only change that they've made to that is, instead of saying, have you had a good time? Did you get what you came for? They used to say, can we come back and see you?
Yeah, they just cut that out.
Now they don't say it. And that's one of those things that makes you realize, this is the last tour.
We've heard it 5 times, so it didn't work for us. Because we came back and saw them. We're going to again. We're going to go to that Ohio
That Dayton show will happen. I don't care. Come hell or high water, I will see that show.
That's right.
But I just feel like there could be a few extra moments of.
I think so too.
Not that Kiss needs to be all sappy, and
No.
Not that I want to cry at a Kiss show, but if I need to,
Or at the very least, like bottom of the barrel. Because at the end of every Kiss show, they say Kiss loves you.
Oh yeah.
Illinois, Chicago, Indianapolis. Put something extra there. For 50 years, or just write a real short message. It could be anything like that.
I will say I will give Kiss some credit here, because for the last few tours, I noticed that what they have been doing is mentioning places that they've played in the past in that state.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact Paul doesn't remember that. I mean, somebody has to actually look that stuff up, or he looks it up and goes, "When did we play here first time?" Either way, I don't care. The fact that they do go out of their way to include that, I think is pretty cool.
He said
because we've been up in
74.
He said he mentioned 74 at the show in Chicago. I think it is cool because there are, not us, but there are a lot of fans in the audience who probably remember going to those shows.
That would be really cool.
So,
from 1974.
And if that is the case for them, I bet that is a real big sentimental moment.
Yeah.
Being like, oh, I remember 40, 50 years ago, when I was young kid and went to see Kiss, and it's that's really cool. Mm-hmm. So it just goes to show how long Kiss has been around, and their legacy. It's crazy. So I do think that's kind of cool how they mentioned previous shows that they've played either at that same venue or in that same state,
right?
Whatever it is.
It's very cool.
So I think the last thing I wanted to mention is how do you feel about David Garibaldi opening up? Because I feel like this is a very divisive thing, where it's some people are just totally against it, and then there are others who wanted to be against it and realized, hey, you know what, this is actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
And so I'm wanting to know, let's get our thoughts real quick, because we've seen David Lee Roth, we've seen David Garibaldi, and I think we can both agree that we would prefer David Lee Roth because it's a rock act. He's a legend. It's something that we would be grateful to see.
Yeah.
But that's no disrespect to David Garibaldi at all.
No.
But so let's start here. When Kiss announced that they were going to have David Garibaldi on open for them, and then you realized that it was a performance artist, what were your initial thoughts before we get to your actual thoughts?
So the first thing I heard about the David Garibaldi opening act was that it was a painter. I didn't know it was going to be that's all I got was painter. And at first it didn't make any sense. I was like, okay, there has to be something more to this. And I was like, okay, there is a little more. He was on a show, wasn't he? A talent show?
He might have been. Was he on America's Got Talent? Or America's, whatever it is?
I don't want to get that wrong.
I'll tell you what.
He had to have been on one of those shows.
I will go ahead and fact check you real quick. He did appear on the 7th season of America's Got Talent.
Okay. He
went to the finals.
Oh wow, that's actually
he finished in 4th.
Wow. So once I heard all that stuff, okay, he was on a show. It's kind of this big thing. I was like, okay, well, it's cool that it's not just a painter. He's a speed painter. He's, seeing him live, he was very energetic and cool. But
yeah,
it's so strange. Because I guess I can understand if it's maybe cheaper to have not an opening act,
right?
A band. They're doing the whole charity thing as well. Some of the money's going to charity, right, for the paintings that he does.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I wanted to figure out was what charity this was going to, because we keep saying it goes to charity, but what charity is it going to?
There's a few benefits to having it. First of all, the show is not as long. A lot of the older people, especially if it's during the week.
It says Crew Nation.
Interesting.
We're partnering with Crew Nation, helping support the music industry and live crews. So I guess it goes to help
like a COVID
crews.
relief thing.
I guess so.
Well, at any rate, charities, that's pretty cool. But one, it's probably less costly for Kiss. Also, the show is not going to be as long as it would otherwise. I mean, it's not like again Kiss and Motley Crue, where the show is just it's not like they both got 2-hour sets, but they were both full sets. So I think with Kiss being on their farewell tour, they don't want to stick around as long. They want to, they don't have to wait as long for the show to start.
Yeah.
And they can, tear down easily. It's not like...
It's a big show.
I was going to say, because, I remember on the Motley Crue show, it took forever, that in-between period of tearing down the Crue set and putting up the Kiss set.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, so, practically, pragmatically, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's easier on them. But as far as going to a concert, I've never had well, barring Metallica, who had Jim Brewer, the comedian, open, I don't think I'd seen anything other than a band open for another band. And especially because it's rock and roll, you want something a little more, not what that is. Now, not to say it isn't cool, because what David Garibaldi does is pretty cool.
He's very talented at what he does.
Very, watching
I could not do what he does. I would need to be trained, and I'd have to be passionate about it, and clearly he's trained, experienced, and passionate about it.
And he does put on a show while he's doing it.
Yes, he does.
But, I'm not complaining, but I mean, obviously, yes, I would rather have any number of opening shows, and there's so many cool things they could have done.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually watching Three Sides of the Coin. If you're listening to us, then you are at least very aware of them.
Probably.
They mentioned something about, what about having Bruce Kulick's band? Something like that. Having a Kiss tie-in and just do 80s Kiss tunes.
Could they have a band better than Kiss?
You know what?
I didn't say that.
That might be... It would be hard to watch. To go from... I thought about that.
And that's not saying that they're better than Kiss... But you'd be more excited to see that.
The 80s Kiss songs are probably going to sound better with Bruce's band, because we've seen the footage from the Kiss cruise.
We haven't been there, but we've seen the footage.
Yeah, we've not been on the Kiss cruises, but we've seen and that might be a little too on the nose. A lot of casual fans, they might know a couple of the songs, but they just wouldn't get it. So, so David Garibaldi might be more palatable to an everyday audience.
Commercially speaking, I don't think most people would actually get.
But take and it would be too big. But I thought and it would be too big. But I thought about it since I think they took him out on their first tour. But Styx, who's an amazing band, I love Styx.
Styx, T-Trick,
But Styx is extremely good live, and I wouldn't want that same thing to happen, because Tommy Shaw from Styx, I always view him as the Paul Stanley of that man. His voice is golden to this day, and that band is incredible. So I thought about, what if they took one of those other bands who usually do those big group together, like Tesla, Styx, Motley, or Def Leppard, they do the big tours together. I'm like, it'd be cool to get a smaller band to do that for Kiss.
Yeah.
But I just, Styx might be too big or something like that, because they're kind of in the middle.
Yeah, the cool thing about having somebody like David Lee Roth is that, we were not there when Van Halen was, taking over the world. So to see David Lee Roth was really, really cool, because we know a lot of those songs.
Yes.
And we know David Lee Roth at least. And
Kiss and Van Halen is
it goes together like Match and Corn. It's we're from Indiana. Sorry, that was a very Indiana thing, but it goes together.
I was gonna say it was just perfect for what it was.
Like eggs and bacon.
And by the way, I don't know if I think we may have mentioned this on another episode, but I know I wasn't that excited to see David Lee Roth initially, because I had heard something he doesn't sound very good.
Never rely on what somebody else says. Always see it for yourself.
Because when we got there just a little bit late to that last show,
and we regret it.
We walked in when his band was playing Panama, and we knew as soon as we walked in it was a hell of a show.
Yeah, we thought, we should have been here the whole time.
His band was amazing, and David Lee Roth was awesome.
Yeah,
and to hear what Gene had to say coming out,
was disappointing.
A year and a half later was really, He even regretted it, which is something he doesn't usually do, but I'm just like, man, that was a shameful moment for Gene.
Shameful moment for Gene.
Just really stupid.
Because he was wrong.
And he could have,
and even if it was
done
true,
that with anyone.
Even if it was halfway true, there's a million ways better to say it.
He could have dropped him from the tour and not said anything.
But to say it that way...
to say it the way he did, say he's out of his prime when people are saying the same thing about Kiss.
Yeah, I was going to say, you don't get to say that without looking at you and your band.
And it's David. He could have. He didn't say that about. He didn't say that about Vince Neil in 2012.
No, he could have.
He could have, but that tour sold so damn well.
That tour was amazing.
Maybe that's why.
That tour was amazing. But I'm wondering if maybe they didn't want to have another one of these bands is because of the competition aspect, where the whole time...
That's a good point.
Every time when I bring up that show, that tour in 2012, the only things I ever hear are either Kiss blew Motley off the stage or Motley blew Kiss off the stage. And instead of going, you know what, I just saw two really good bands who both performed at the top of their game.
I was going to say, Kiss and Motley Crue, we should be celebrating both of these bands.
According to the Monster fanzine, every single show on that tour sold out. According to that fanzine, I know our show was at the Clips.
We were there and they announced it there.
In Indianapolis, that show was sold out. But according to...
Which is huge.
Which is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
So they could be having sellout shows, completely sold out shows every single time on this tour too, maybe. But you always have this distraction of, well, who's better, who's older, whose voice sounds worse, and it sucks.
That might be the biggest reason why they don't do it.
The focus on this tour is Kiss entirely.
Oh, that's a good point.
Nobody is... Because people keep talking about, having Cheap Trick open. Cheap Trick is a band that would work... And guess what? That, just like Roth, that is a group or an artist that we have not ever seen live that would probably benefit from having done so. But
it's also KISSTORY. Kiss and Cheap Trick was in 1977. Same thing with Styx. It took a lot of great acts on that tour.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some history there.
Bob Seger, that would be weird.
That'd be kind of weird.
Because they was 76, they had Bob Seger open. I cannot imagine that.
No, that'd be weird. But as far as David Garibaldi goes, I was a little hesitant. I'm not hesitant, but I was a little
skeptical.
I guess intrigued. I'll use the word intrigued
for sure
to see how that would go. But yeah, you mentioned 3 days before we saw our first show on the End of the Road tour, we saw Metallica perform at that same venue.
Yes, we did.
And they had Jim Brewer open up. Now we know who Jim Brewer is from other things.
Yeah, he's a comedian.
He's a comedian. He's hilarious.
Actor,
and we thought the same, even though we know Jim Brewer and we love Jim Brewer and we would love to see him live because we had never seen him, his stand-up live. It was still kind of odd. Metallica, the world's #1 thrash metal band, is having a stand-up comic open.
Yeah.
How is that going to look, and is that lame? And the answer was, it looks great, and it is not lame.
True.
When we went, Jim Brewer did an amazing job at being involved in the crowd.
Metallica's done their own thing forever. Anyway.
Forever.
They have always done something different.
Forever.
Yeah.
But you mentioned, you can't imagine seeing anything other than a rock band open for a rock band or a metal band, and I agree. But I agree until you see it live and go, this is really, really good, because Jim Brewer was great, and then Metallica even better. When you watch David Garibaldi, when we saw him, 3 nights later at the same venue, I was sitting there going, I was watching him jump around, splattering paint, and I'm going, I don't know what he's painting.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching the whole time, kind of listening to the music.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, at the end, he turns it upside down, and it's freaking Hendrix or Angus Young or somebody. And I'm going, whoa, okay.
It was awesome.
I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it now. Now I'm in it. Now, the next time, I'm guessing who you're drawing or painting. Now I'm in on it. Now I'm going, okay, well, who's he painting next? Who's is it? Slash? Is it Ozzy? Who is it? Yeah. And so that I got into it. I got into it.
I will say, seeing it for the first time, I was like, yeah, I'm fine with this. I was like, this is cool. Like, they got the right. If they're gonna have anyone do a speed painting, this guy was the right guy to do it.
Oh,
he hyped up the crowd. If you've seen him, you know what I'm talking about.
He's a performer, entertainer. Yes. He's an artist, a painter.
Oh yeah, he's getting the crowd.
And he knows he has to be too, because it's a Kiss crowd. So,
and I think it works in that aspect because most of the people who are going on this tour, they're only going to see it once.
Right.
But since I've seen that after that one show with Garibaldi opening, I was not tired of it, but I didn't feel like I needed to see it.
Okay.
But I know the show isn't necessarily for me. It's not for the diehards. In a way, it is because they know that people are traveling all over, seeing multiple different shows.
They know that Kiss fans will be traveling, seeing multiple shows.
Like us. We were supposed to do 2 nights in a row last week.
Yeah, they know that there are fans that are following them and seeing multiple shows. There are some fans that have probably seen 20 shows on this tour. But for the majority of the, but if there's a few thousand diehards, you have 17,000 other non-diehards, other casuals.
Yeah.
I guess that's where they... But the fact that he's painting, rock artists, the fact that you're hearing
Kiss.
Rock music, and the final painting is a Kiss painting, it's still very much a rock show without being a rock show.
They make it work. Again,
they make it work.
They picked the right guy to do it. They did it in... I think the best way they could have done it, so I give them full respect to that, because it could have been... It's not like it was way off mark. It sounds like it, but when you're there, they do have that showmanship, that rock element, that Garibaldi. So in a way, it does work.
It does work.
But I think everyone would agree. Well, yeah, I'd rather see
hear Daily Roth,
Cheap Trick. But I think what, now that you bring up, I think that may or may not be the biggest reason why they don't have an opening act, is because it is about Kiss. We don't want anyone else saying that other thing was better.
Because at this point, rock fans, everybody's a critic. I mean, even though we're being generally positive, even we're being critics right now, and we have no merit, no credibility.
I know Motley Crue
other than the fact that we're Kiss fans, that we saw the show.
I was gonna say, I know Motley Crue fans who went to the Crue and Kiss show, and I don't know how there's not. that seems like they would be the biggest overlap in fan base.
Well,
some people are
Motley Crue. Because I'm both.
I was gonna say, but I knew a guy who hated Kiss that night, and he got a lot of things wrong about it.
Okay.
He said, "Oh, this happened. Like that didn't happen at the Kiss show. You don't know what you're talking
about."
Okay, but he was a huge Motley Crue fan. I do like that, the idea of removing that opportunity of anyone,
trying to distract.
They can't control what anyone say, and I'm not saying that's what they were trying to do, but I like that it was just Kiss was the main event. There's nothing going to take away from it. They get to do a full show. Again, I think they do get a little more time because Garibaldi doesn't take a full Motley Crue time to paint. So there's pros and cons. I'm fine with it, but I would go. I don't care if it would be a little more expensive or if the show's a little longer. I would rather see a
musical act or something.
Yeah, because like a band that I've never seen that does tie into the group, because it does add that KISSTORY element, Styx or Cheap Trick or somebody like that.
Yeah,
but it is what it is, and Garibaldi's cool.
Yeah,
he's pretty cool.
Garibaldi is cool. We got one more show to see in Dayton, and then as of now, that might be it.
Yes,
they are going to be in Vegas.
Well, it for us too.
Yeah, they might be in Vegas, or they're going to be in Vegas this winter. We'll see.
Going flying to Vegas?
I don't know. Oh, but well,
I get that whole week off work. I might be going.
So we mentioned how cold that show was.
It was very cold.
We stood in line. So if anybody's wondering about merchandise, they have gotten some new merch.
They did.
At least I think so, because this sweatshirt we did not see at the
one
show.
I'm wearing
At least
right now.
the last time. I'll do my best to show it without. Is that? Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. So they have this new sweatshirt. It's not end of the road. Actually, it does say end of the road on the front.
The graphic is just
the graphic that they had on the back of the sweatshirts they were sold at some of the other shows was like an end of the road graphic, like probably like this image right here.
Yeah,
this photograph. Edited it differently, but this one's more of like a almost like a comic book rendering or an artist rendering. The eyes are like the creatures, cover creatures.
I don't know why I get Psycho Circus vibes. I don't know why.
Probably it's the comic book, Psycho Circus comic books.
Right.
You're probably thinking
that's pretty.
The Kiss 4K.
Yeah.
You remember the Kiss 4K calendars and all that stuff.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so there is
also if you want a Kiss hat at the show, and I think it was one of the old Ohio shows. The Kiss hat was $50, and I bought it for $50, and now it's $40. So if you want a Kiss hat, buy it now, or wait until they come back around and then buy it for $30 if they're still trying to sell them.
For sure, yeah.
I was there and I was like, oh man, I already bought the hat, but it was $10 or whatever.
They were selling. They had Eric Singer's drum head. There was a stage played drum head.
Yeah, with a set list.
With 2 set lists.
Autographed by Eric Singer.
And why do I not have it? Was it because it was $350? No, that was perfectly fine. It's because it wasn't dated, and that was odd to me. I'm sure it would have been. I'm sure it was. I'm not saying it was not legit. I know Eric's autograph. It was definitely stage played. It was definitely Eric's autograph, but it was definitely the Kiss set list. I know the font and all that, but they didn't have the date on it, which I thought was kind of weird because all the ones I have are dated.
Yeah, I know guy.
But they are, if you are interested, they are selling stage-played drum heads.
Or at least that one.
Or at least that one show had it.
Because I know that guy in front of us in the merch line, you saw him, like, they had people grab it for him, and like, oh, this guy's going to buy it. We're not even going to know. And then he put it back, and I was like, oh, wow, is it it must be a lot of money, and then here it's $350. Which
I'm
like whatever. It's it's not that much.
It's 2 set lists. It's an autograph. It's played.
It's the end of the road.
It's Eric Singer. It's the end of the road. You're like you'll make every excuse to justify $500. Okay, fine.
It's the last tour.
850. Right. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, so I wish it was dated, but so that was really cool. And then I've got to say, this is one of the baddest. This, I think, is like the second printing, the first or second printing. They have 6 now of 6 versions of the tour books.
Yeah.
But I don't care. This is one of the coolest tour books I've ever seen. I don't know how shiny it is for you, but it's shiny for me. And I tell you what, this one image right here.
I've got that framed in my house.
You do. You do.
Not the holographicness, but that image. I bought it from the Kiss website.
If you have the tour book, this centerfold right here of them.
That is immaculate.
Is amazing because it's got every one of like the lighter parts, the gold records, and their armor is all holofoil. The records on the wall, the road cases. Boy, that just looks so good.
I wonder. So that was one of the first or second ones. I wonder if they.
This is the first or second ones.
I wonder if the one, if they've changed it, from the last show we saw, if we would have bought one.
I guess I'll have to get a tour book at the Dayton, and then I'll let you guys know in the next podcast.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that's awesome. I got a few more things from the tour. Obviously, there's a poster right there from the first leg. I think that's the first leg. I'm looking. Yeah, that's the first leg. But yeah, so all kinds of cool stuff.
Yes.
Definitely see KISS if you can, because the one thing that we keep thinking is that, hey, this is it. We keep saying this is the third time
we've seen
our last KISS show, but it will happen.
I was gonna say, and
there will be a last time.
If there's anyone who's hesitant for any reasons, maybe there's any number of reasons, whether it's money or whatever. If it is money, they do wait till the last minute and buy a ticket, because we noticed the night of the show the tickets were cut in half for our seats, basically. Yeah. So if money's an issue, you can always wait and wait it out. Even if if you're going in the lawn, no one wants to see him in the lawn. Well, some people do, but if you want to go see him, just do it.
Yeah, keep an eye on because you can go to Ticketmaster.com, or you can go to KISS Online, go to tour, and then find the show that you want to go to and click tickets, and then obviously it will tell you what seats are available and what seats are not available. Yeah. And we keep an eye on those blue dots all the time. Even if we have tickets, we're constantly refreshing and looking and seeing what's being bought, what's being sold, and when, and how much. And we noticed
plenty of seats.
That because of COVID, people are hesitant to go to shows, and I get that. And some venues are requiring the show. I saw Slipknot before I saw KISS, and that venue was not requiring you to have a COVID vaccination card. But we saw KISS in Tinley Park, and that venue you had to show vaccination, and sometimes that can be off-putting to people. So that's deterring people from going to concerts, which means there's more seats available, and that means that demand is going down, which means the price goes down. Yeah. And so we paid, I think, $325 for tickets in Louisville when we saw them at the beginning of the tour. When we bought tickets, when we bought tickets in advance. We bought tickets 2 weeks before this show, and they were $126. Yes, that's cut in half. And guess what? They were not the same spots, but they were very close in distance. Yeah. Either way, we saw KISS that show at Fort Wayne before COVID shut everything down. We bought tickets 2 weeks in advance. We saw KISS 6th row and paid $135. $135 for sixth row on Tommy's side,
which is unbelievable. And then on the last show we saw was if that was 6th row, then what was the one that we saw with David Lee Roth?
That was 6th row.
Oh, that was the one you're talking about.
That was 6th row. Yeah, that was 6th row, and then this last show I think was 30th.
Yeah, we were.
And then the rest of them have been 20th row, except for that one in Cincinnati, which was in the lawn. Right. But so if money is an issue, and yes, it can and will be,
just keep an eye on them.
Keep budget and keep an eye on those tickets, because the show in Dayton we're going to go see is not up close. We paid, I think, $100 for them, and we're not on the floor in the middle, but we're in the beginning of the back. And so I guarantee that when that show gets rescheduled and it gets closer to that show, the tickets that are not sold now are going to keep going down. Yes. And what money you would have spent on the ticket can now be spent towards, maybe gas, food, or whatever. Just plan. But if you want to see KISS, do it now, because it's, at this point, it's a limited engagement, and we're having such a really good time on this tour. And so be sure to share with us your thoughts on this tour as far as the set list. We didn't even mention the costumes. Love these costumes.
Costumes are fantastic.
The costumes are great. I wanted to see new, fresh costumes. We got that. They got a great set list, great production. So leave us your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what shows you've seen. Yeah. If you're going to go see any more.
Have you seen more than us? Because we've seen 5. And we know people who have seen, oh my gosh, every show in the States.
They just follow the band, which I think is great. It's crazy. It's awesome. Live your truth. We're living ours.
I would do it.
Absolutely. So let us know what you guys think about the tour, your thoughts and all that. What shows you've seen. Are you going to Vegas? Will you be seeing KISS in Vegas or otherwise? So until then, again, subscribe to the channel, to KISS Army Things. Like this video, give it a thumbs up, and then we'll see you next time on episode 13. Until then, I'm Xander.
I'm Jed.
And this is the KISS Army Things podcast.